obviously. What up? How's it going? Gotta let people get in. I have one for you. Bam. I reply to your emote with my emote. Okay. Hope everyone's having a good day. Just gotta give my people a minute to get in, and then we'll be good. Oh, Coastron's here. Watch out, everybody. What the heck? It's fine. I redid my desk yesterday. It wasn't fantastic. It was not always a good time. Oh, if I could spell right, that would be ideal. I just realized it. I have to change something on Elphicus's character sheet. Might as well do that real quick. Just gotta wait for some people to show up. There's 3 people. Where are my people at? Hey, Deca. What's going on? So, Coastron, you asked a question yesterday. It's a good question. I assume that you're Costra in the thing, not in the kitchen. That's fun. Okay, that's good. So we'll just go ahead and get into it, I guess. You definitely asked. Hi, I was curious about your relation to board games. Do you play them? Your favorites, and how have you started? And if you like them, maybe an idea for stream playing with friends. So the main thing about board games is that's where I started, really, when it came down to it. When I was in the Army and I was in Arizona, I had like 800 board games. That was pretty incredible. It was a good time because I had a lot of friends, and all we did was play board games and D&D and stuff like that. Board games are like the basis for get-togethers and stuff like that. Yep, Sean was there. Like, that's actually my real life friend, Sean W. We played so many board games, but that's really where a lot of it started. I would say my favorite board games. My favorite board game is probably Arkham Horror. I don't know if you've heard of it. How am I doing, Sarek? I'm doing Sarich. I don't know. I don't even know how to pronounce your name. You should message me in Discord and tell me how to do that. I'm doing fine. I'm doing great, man. Just realized I did my math wrong, and if I stream on Saturday, I should be partnered on Saturday, as long as this goes okay. As long as this doesn't go too poorly, and Friday doesn't go too badly. I have every expansion for Arkham Horror. The only problem I have is that there's a lot, man. Arkham Horror is great. It's one of the best board games ever because it's so hard. Hey. Neff. Yes. There's a possibility, but I wanted to get partnered first so that I didn't have to worry about minimum viewer counts and stuff like that. I do have a plan. I just have to find a group and pick a genre and then go for it. So it's really... It depends on the time it's going to take to get partnered and stuff. I have Betrayal at House on the Hill. I actually have a Baldur's Gate version. He's no longer Helficus. He's now just regular old Elficus. Enter. A steep learning curve is an understatement for Arkham Horror. I don't know if Inquindor is here yet, but I'll answer his question when we get there. Sarish is here. Sarish asked a question similar to what Inquindor asked. I was curious about how much time Arkham. So Arkham Horror is a massive board game. I would say it's a massive board game. Like, to get all the expansions is like $500. But Arkham Horror is a board game that goes from 1 to 8 players. That is basically the board game versus the players, and most times it takes longer to set up than it does to fail at winning the game. So what the idea of it is, it's you're in the Cthulhu H.P. Lovecraft horror universe. Let me know if the music is too loud. It's pretty loud for me. I'm gonna turn it down. And the idea is you're trying to prevent an ancient horror in the Cthulhu universe from awakening and destroying everything. So you're a bunch of investigators trying to close portals, and you have a bunch of mechanics that you have to maintain, and everyone has their job and like their specific role and everything. But every single turn, the game just gets harder and harder and harder. And it's great. There's a tabletop simulator mod that's really good. I was thinking about maybe doing tabletop simulator with some of the really good scripted tabletop games, because they're actually super fun. It just depends on if I get partnered or not. So, yeah, that's huge. But Sarish asked a question. I was curious about how much of what we see is planned and how much is improvised. For example, chatting with NPC rather than attacking them on sight. Is there multiple pre-planned ways for the encounter to go, or is it all just winged on the spot? We are very close to getting a partnership, Neff. Like, I just need 12 days streamed. That's really what it comes down to. I would say that first things first. How much is improvised chatting with an NPC? So the way I build encounters and things is I do it by... Well, first, okay, so I'm gonna do a couple things. So the idea behind playing D&D is the point of the game is to have fun. So first things first, you gotta talk to your players, find out what they consider fun. Okay. Second, you build a campaign around what they consider fun. Okay. For example, if your group wants to be murder hobos, just do a bunch of dungeon runs, because nobody really cares about anything else, right? For this specific group, I've played this specific storyline through with my family and a bunch of other people. Sorry, I gotta put my glasses on. I'm dying. I've played through this campaign before, and we played it over a little while, but what I've done is I've taken that same campaign and expanded it considerably to reach around 52 episodes. That's what I'm trying to do. But when it comes to planning something like that for an everyday thing, all you have to do is just plan a storyline overall and then more or less stick to that storyline. And something that you need to realize as a DM is that just because you plan something doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you also have to play with players who are willing to just accept that you're the GM and you can push them in direction. When did I start playing D&D? And so, Sarish, for your question also, I don't pre-plan. I do pre-plan a few things. Like I have a bunch of stuff that I give a lot of. I try to give a lot of options. There's a lot of on-the-rails stuff that people enjoy more than anything else, because a lot of people, you go, "What are you doing?" and they just don't know what to do. I mean, you could ask that to most people, and most people just freeze as they don't really know what to do. So pushing people in a way to go is more fun. And the fact that if you pre-plan a bunch of stuff and then none of it happens, it's really disappointing. But as a GM, you are in control. So there you go. Neff asked, when did you first start playing D&D, and do you talk to the original group? So it's a funny story. My first ever thing that I played was in 3.5 edition. I think I was in 7th or 8th grade. So it was... No, I didn't. Okay, so first time playing D&D, it was specifically 7th or 8th grade. But years before that, I have been playing this game called RuneQuest with my neighbor. And he's the reason why I wanted to become a game master. And my first character ever, his name was Skyfire. And he was basically part of a group of resistance fighters in what you consider like fantasy Nazi Germany. So I went around killing people. And it was super fun, and that character eventually died, and then I lost like 3 characters in a row after that. I died a lot in that campaign, where the daughters of the GM never died, but that's purely because my brothers and I all played together. One of the people I played with in that original group, I talked to all of them except for one still. I dated one of them, and it didn't go well. I was poor. But my brothers, my 2 brothers and I played in the campaigns forever. And then I'm still friends with the neighbor. I'm still friends with the daughters for the most part. Yeah, so I still talk to everyone. It was super fun. How do I deal with GM burnout? Don't play. So for me personally, D&D is hard to get burnt out on. I would say as a whole, D&D is hard to get burnt out on. But for me, DM burnout and GM burnout, for me specifically, is more about playing the same campaign a lot. Really burns you out, because it's just like watching, if you were to watch all of the Avengers movies in a row, that would just get sort of not fun, in my opinion, but that's just me. And having someone else DM is good too, and having someone who's experienced as a DM help someone else DM is actually super fun too, because it's a learning experience for both people. How do you get started with D&D? So the main thing about getting started, are you Heisenberg? Is that specifically playing or GMing, or what aspect of D&D are you talking about specifically? Because there's a lot. That's a big question. The main thing about getting started generally with D&D is, one of my favorite tools is dndbeyond.com. I'll put it in chat real quick. That is one of the greatest learning tools of all time when it comes to anything Dungeons & Dragons, because you could just go there, make a character. It walks you through the process, how you make a character, what it means, everything that just goes step by step. Teaches you the basics of the system. Also has most of the books available. If you subscribe to it, there's a lot of really cool tools that you can get and stuff like that, just to make a character and have the idea of how to play. And right now, during this crisis, is not necessarily the greatest time. Roll20.net also has a ton of tools for new players, including like groups of people that will accept any new player, and you can just go in and join. Real talk. Do you get burnt out from Jenkins, or do you specifically feel it brings fresh perspective? I would I would never get burnt out on any of my players because their perspective is fun and new, and I don't get burnt out from players. I get burnt out from players who exclusively try to power game, meaning that if you want to make a character that's powerful, but the only thing you do is make characters that are powerful just to be powerful, that gets old. If we're playing more than one campaign together and you're playing the same character over every campaign, as a DM, that gets really, really old, because I have to, essentially, the way it works right now is my players are pretty good at playing the game and having a good time, which means that I don't have to design my entire sessions around adapting and trying to overcome obstacles that are exclusively put in by players that just want to be powerful, right? Mogamak likes being powerful, but that's just his nature. He enjoys being powerful and he wants to be powerful, but he doesn't power game in that same aspect, right? Where exactly, min-maxing is really, it just gets really boring. That would be my definition of DM burnout, would be when somebody plays the same character over and over again. Where Jenkins' character's nature is chaotic, and also as a person he's sort of chaotic, so it just sort of brings that, like, hey, what happened to the wild magic table this time, and the whole resurrection stuff like that. Any advice on how to do... Okay, so shiny to Umbrian. Can you make a mining dwarf and throw rocks? And the rarer it is, the more damage it does. Technically speaking, you could do something like that. You'd have to talk to your GM about that. I think it'd be super fun to have something like that where your character just carries around a collection of rocks that he throws at people. I think it'd be super fun. And it would be hilarious. I would absolutely let you do something like that, because that brings new mechanics and new super fun stuff. Maybe make a fighter class or like a artificer class that literally that's their only purpose. It's super fun. Any advice on how to deal with online players fudging their dice rolls? Play on Roll20, honestly, or play on a platform where it reads out the dice for you. That's the only real solution. I do know some people that don't like to roll low. They just don't like to fail, so therefore they quote unquote never fail unless they can help it. So Roll20 sort of solves that solution. And Roll20 is pretty much universal, that it takes no effort and very little, like, you don't need a good computer to run Roll20. And if you're having issues with Roll20, you can talk to your DM about fixing stuff like that. How do I deal with toxic players? I usually, I don't have a lot of people that have ever done that for me, but I usually talk to them specifically. Basically get notes from everyone about what the issue is, and if it really comes down to it, you could just say, you don't mesh well with the party, and we don't enjoy playing with you. I'm sorry, but unless you do something about it, you can't come play with us. That's pretty much it. That's just the easiest way to deal with toxic players, is just to tell them straight up that we don't enjoy what you do. Will you ever do any streams where you're showing your process, making campaigns or maps? Dakawu, about the whole thing is, if I can get partnered, I can do I can just do whatever schedule I want. So if you guys want that, I can do that. I think it'd be super cool, because I sort of more or less am planning a campaign after something that Moxie said to me the other day about steampunk. I was thinking about making a steampunk campaign and having that. It'd be super fun. That is true, Neff. You did roll a lot of natural ones. That was brilliant. Exactly. People should not have to do that. It shouldn't be a chore. And if your players are not having fun, that's another thing. So if you want to DM, you have to communicate with your players. Like every time we end a session, as soon as I end the stream, I say, how was it? What did you guys enjoy? What did you not enjoy? I like to know everything about it so that I can get feedback. And if I need to change something, or if I can tell that someone isn't enjoying their character, And that sort of is like Thunor as a nutshell. Your first character is never your most fun character, from my experience. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. And also another big note as someone who, if you're trying to DM and someone isn't enjoying their character, let them make a new character. There's nothing wrong with changing out characters. It doesn't even have to be good. You could just kill their character and say that's over. That's it. It's over. Right? It's just relative to what you want to do. So, does anyone have any other questions? Is Vic McAvoy here yet? I think it was... I don't remember. I think I have that Twitch message still up. I just want to answer people's questions if they're here. Northern Clips is not here yet. It's not really that Purge didn't like Thunor. It's just... It's also a part of it is that you're... Oh. No, you're good. I just wanted to answer people's questions and make sure that they were here when I answered said questions. Oh, my chat bot isn't up. Hold on. Sorry. I have a command. I have a local chat bot that I've been running to make sure that the stream overlays get changed and stuff like that. Hold on, Northern Equips. You know what, Devin Animation? For you, I will accept your friend request. Okay? I know, right? Bam. There you go, Devin Animation. I got you. Okay, wait. Try it now, Northern. Try it now, Northern Eclipse. Oh, uh-oh. What did I break? Update now. Wait, I'm updating the chat bot, so give me a second. Lol. There you go. So, Not in the Kitchen is here. So, what's the best way to learn D&D lore? I tried wiki watching YouTube videos on the cosmology, and I made my brain... Yeah. So the main thing about D&D lore is you have to realize that everything is involved, okay? So if it's... Bye, Sean. If it is a stream... Or if you're playing in a universe that exists in a D&D universe, you just have to remember that whatever is in that universe is in that universe. Technically speaking, it's all connected, but what you need to know about D&D lore is exclusive to your world that you're playing in as a big thing. So specifically for Not in the Kitchen, you need to... Whatever world you're playing in is the only world that really matters. Okay, for example, Eberron has these things called dragon marks, and unless you're playing in Eberron, I don't think the dragon marks even function. So, for me personally, what I know about my lore is what's in my universe. So if I wanted to go play in the Forgotten Realms, yeah, you could look up some cool Forgotten Realms stuff, but there's a lot. It's like trying to go into Star Wars, a Star Wars campaign, or role-playing game and not having seen a Star Wars movie. It's pretty much overload in lore and all these things. What I would recommend is if you're planning on playing a game or you're planning on doing something, look up that world and make sure if you're playing your first game, look up a world that already exists, pick a point in the timeline and just go from there. Honestly, the thing about D&D lore is you don't need to know everything. If anything, you don't need to know anything if you don't want to. And the best way to learn D&D lore is just to read, like, get a player's manual, get a monster player's manual. Monster manual is amazing. Dungeon Master's Guide is one of the best books for learning how to play in the beginning. It's one of those things that learning. So the main thing, some of the other stuff that you ask, Aether, Toral, both on the material plane at the same time. So technically speaking, the material plane is basically just a series of planets that all exist within the same universe, right? They might not be in the same solar system, but it genuinely doesn't matter. The idea is that the material planes technically all exist. It just depends on how you want to do it, to be completely honest with you. They all could exist in the exact same place. They could just be on different planes or levels of planes within the material plane. There's a lot of things like that. What is phlogiston and is different than the astral? Why is this different to the astral plane or elemental plane? So the idea behind planes is that you have a bunch of different layers within a universe. Okay, so in order for you to have magic, right, the idea is that all magic comes from a specific place. So wild magic comes from the Feywild. So you have all these primal, what I would consider primal planes, where the idea of good and bad, like the idea of bad comes from a lower plane, which is where all the devils and demons live. The idea of good comes from the upper planes, where the angels and celestials live. So the idea behind wild magic comes from the Feywild. The idea of fire and that element in and of itself comes from the fire plane and the water plane. And all these planes come together to the material plane to show that they exist. And without these planes, certain things can't exist. So if your world doesn't have magic in it, you might have, it might be severed from the astral plane. Like, where does your magic come from in your world? So it's one of those, it's D&D lore is so expansive, it's insane. That one of the things, ooh, excuse me, oh, my ear itches. One of the things about D&D you need to realize is that you can know a lot about D&D lore, but if you're playing the game, your character's knowledge is what matters. Okay, so, and that's like the idea behind metagaming and all sorts of other things like that. Do you recommend a specific kind of character for a first timer, or is it just fine for someone to play whatever they want? Excluding maybe a few mechanically challenging classes. My personal recommendation is play a fighter. Fighters are amazing. They're so good, and the subclasses are super fun between Samurai and Champion. Champion crits harder. Battle Master has a lot of really cool mechanics. The main thing for first-time players is I recommend staying away from spellcasting. So stick to rogues, fighters. Barbarians are super cool. Monks are amazing. All of these things are relative, but a beautiful idea that can get you in a direction. Spellcasting sort of adds new mechanics that can overwhelm first-time players. But for people like... and you have to realize that a lot of the games you play now are sort of based on the idea of D&D and Lord of the Rings and all sorts of stuff. They're mechanically the same thing. That's what I would do. Northern Eclipse is here. I know that. How do you go about transitioning a big picture world into a small scale campaign? I love world building and make these cool worlds, but I'm not sure how to transform these ideas into an actual story that people can go through. Pick a point. So here's the idea. Okay, I'm gonna show you. Well, I don't really have the map like ready right now, but if you were to look at my world, okay, you can write a storyline in your world. Okay, for example, you don't, in my opinion, you don't have to have something created the world and then 1,000 years pass and you just keep, who cares, right? What matters right now is what's happening right now in the world when your characters exist. So if you want to have a big picture campaign, which technically speaking we do, it didn't really start until they saw the meteor. That was when the big picture campaign started. All you have to do is pick a point. You have a map. As long as you say that you have a map and a cool world, okay? Pick a point on that map in that cool world. Go boop. There's my starting point. Is it a port city? Is it the capital? For me, it's the capital. That's my big starting point. Is the capital. Bam. You're in the capital. Cool. What's in the capital? A bunch of cool stuff. What do you want to do? Well, that's when you talk to your players. Say, hey, what would you guys like to do? And that's how you introduce them into your world in a way that makes sense. For example, a lot of characters, or for our campaign, I said, hey, what do you guys want to do? And they're like, we don't even know. So I said, cool, let's just throw you into it. You're part of the Slayers Guild because I said so. And the Slayers Guild sort of gives them permission to do a lot of fun stuff, but not be murder hobos because they still have to obey the law, you know? And honestly, get inspired. So if you play video games, and you want to do a Witcher style campaign. There's a lot of restrictions within that world, but it's absolutely possible. My main recommendation, if you're going to play a campaign or start a campaign yourself, get inspired. If you want to play a sci-fi campaign, watch Blade Runner. If you want to play a post-apocalyptic one, watch I Am Legend, or read I Am Legend. Read what's that movie called? The most recent one with there like a billion Tracer references. Get inspired. Make a world that's relatively the same. People understand. Like if you want to play Star Wars, get the Star Wars. My favorite system is the Star Wars system because it's simple. Anyone can sit down and play it. It's super fun. What I'm thinking, I want to have players start in the middle of a trading city that's been quarantined. Okay. So the main thing about that specific idea is you need to fix technology levels. So that's one of the big ones about what you're describing. It's very vague. So if you wanted to do sci-fi, you could do that. Get inspired by Judge Dredd in Mega City 1 or Mega City 2 or like any of those mega cities. Just look up Judge Dredd stuff. That's a really good starting point if you want to do sci-fi. If you wanted to do fantasy, a good starting point would be, it depends on if you want to do high or low fantasy. Low fantasy is usually like really low, like crossbows don't even exist. High fantasy, there could be some firearms or some cannons and things like that. If you wanted to do sort of a modern campaign, just look at like what Italy did. Specifically if it's a trading city, look at Final Fantasy VII. Look up the info on that city that's underground. I don't remember what it's called. Somebody in chat will probably know. That's a big thing that Koshan said, is don't go overboard with ideas. Pick a storyline, or pick an idea, like for example, your cool trading city. Yes, exactly. Tropes are awesome. And everyone, another note about being a dungeon master, everybody loves recurring characters. Okay? So if you want to make a recurring villain, make that villain impossible to defeat at the beginning of the campaign. Reintroduce him later in the campaign when he's defeatable, right? If you introduce a level 10 villain at the very beginning of the campaign, make the players realize, oh my gosh, we can't fight this guy, and then bring him in later when he is defeatable. It's super fun. And also you have to think about read World War Z if you want to mix fantasy into. If you want to do fantasy and get inspired by a quarantined city, read World War Z. I mean, zombies are a great reason to be quarantined. Undead creatures are amazing in the fact that you can make anything into an undead creature by just giving it traits that undead have. Immunity to charm, immunity to frightened, that kind of thing. Make a super powerful necromancer. It could not be a necromancer. It could be plague. Like, look at World of Warcraft. The World of Warcraft storyline started with people trying to be quarantined, and then Arthas killed everybody. There's plenty of inspiration and ways to do what you want to do. You just have to think about what exactly do you want your players to do. If your players want to go on an epic adventure where they get cool gear and they interact with cool characters, well, make them do that. It's not that difficult. All you have to do is say, hey, you guys start in this quarantine city. Well, what's their first objective? Their first objective could be to meet some of the more powerful trading guild people who are actually running the city because the city guard have failed, or they've hired a mercenary guild to be guards because the mayor has died and everyone ran and everyone just left. Or basically, what is the reason your city is quarantined? How do you think people would react to that? And then make some really fun characters and encounters for them from that. I mean, you could have a dungeon crawl. Like, if you were in Paris, the catacombs at Paris are enormous and expansive, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't necessarily mean that they're stuck within the city confines. And if you want to make a city map, make a city map. City maps are super fun. If that's your world map is exclusively that city, awesome. And also remember, verticality is a thing. You don't have to make a map and have it be two-dimensional. You can make different layers of said map and have your players explore those layers as they go. Maybe they're tourists that have landed in this city with nothing. It could be a lot of super fun stuff. Yeah, it's just there's a lot there with just that idea, but you just gotta flesh it out. It wouldn't be that difficult. Oh, 3D is easy, man. All you gotta do is make 2D maps that are all relative. You just gotta make the first level, and then decide if that level's in the middle or the top or the bottom. It's up to you. I haven't made a map of the capital because I've been doing other things right now. So, does anyone have any other questions? Did I miss a question? I don't think I missed a question. The story arcs. You asked a bit earlier. Hold on. How much do you focus on story arcs of characters, the story circle, etc.? Okay. So, story arcs for characters are all relative to said characters. If your players are super into their story, their character having a story arc, cool. Introduce it into your world. For example, the Northern Eclipse Quarantine City. They might all have storylines. They might have no storylines. It's up to them. But for my world specifically, if I write a campaign, I leave it open that initially in my story, the undergrowth is completely different than Elgar introduced it to be, than Gareth introduced his character as, and everything else. That it's completely different, and I'm okay with that. Ziori came in, said that Halfkin was a bunch of halflings and gnomes and stuff. Cool. That's a thing. Absolutely. Just let's do it. I don't care. And if they write it out enough, that's super cool. Essentially, the main thing is keeping players happy might involve that each of them has a storyline. Well, that's half on you and half on them. If their character has a story, have them write out an initial story, and then you can fill in blanks or fill in the rest of the end of the story. That's it. It's too easy. It just depends on your players. If your players want to have character story arcs, cool. If they don't have character story arcs, you can give them story arcs fairly simply by just introducing a fun character that they like to have around, like Skink. Every campaign I've played in that has Skink in it, everybody loves her, and they're like, I want to know more about this character. My older brother called me and was like, I want to know more about Saltai. I said, you'll learn about Saltai. You just have to keep watching, because eventually Saltai will play a big role in these things. Yeah, story arcs, and I don't picture stories as circles. I picture it as sort of like quests from World of Warcraft, because it's easy. You just go, you have a mission, you complete said mission, the story, that story arc is over. If it's not over, it could be super fun to introduce it later. Just don't make your web too big. My web is fairly decently sized. It's not massive, but my web is there. That's a big one. Everyone wants to learn more about Egg. So I can't tell you what the undergrowth was originally supposed to be, because I may or may not have a precursor campaign in the background that more or less would illustrate what exactly it was supposed to be, because the undergrowth is enormous. Yes. Skink has been introduced. She has an emote, dude. So everyone spam the Skink emote, the best girl emote, please, in chat to show to show overall overlord that Skink absolutely has been introduced and has her own emote. There you go. See? Yep. See, Chuck? Skink has been introduced. Well, also Kostrin. That's actually a big thing is if you if you if you're able to write a good story and have players that enjoy themselves and storylines that make sense. I'm not writing this for people watching. I don't want to write a story just for viewers. I want to write a story for my players so they get to experience, and then everyone else watching can feel like they're a part of it because characters are relatable, right? And if my players get a sense of completion or they feel lost for some reason, that means I might be doing something wrong, or I might need to adjust what I'm doing to make sure that my players feel a sense of completion, because everyone can relate in some way, shape, or form to people playing D&D. Whether it's rolling 4 ones in a row or rolling that natural 20 at the exact right moment because it's super fun. Everyone can relate, and if that sense of completion isn't being had by my players, it's not being had by the viewers. So that's something that needs to be discussed as well if there's a lot that needs to happen. Anything else? Did I miss anything else? Or if anyone has any other questions, let me know. I'm here. I'm ready to answer questions. By the way, thanks for that gift sub, Icer. You're the man. Excuse me. Oh, Safari. That's a good question. I cook bacon in an air fryer because that is the best. The air fryer is the greatest invention of the last 5 years. Yep. I'll give you that. It's still an oven, but it's just a fast oven. So actually there's even attachments for air fryers that you can grill steak in and stuff now. It's pretty incredible. So I like my pizza rolls. It takes like 6 minutes to cook a bunch of pizza rolls to crispy perfection. No, Kostrin. When you cook it in an air fryer, it pools up on the bottom, and then you can cook other stuff with the bacon grease that already exists in the air fryer. Stupid. Stupid good. Does anyone have any D&D or game-related questions for me? Anything? I'm here. I'm here for you. By the way, if you're joining us and you're not subscribed or followed, give me a follow and join the Discord. We talk about some cool stuff, man. Dude, for real. Air fryer, yeah. Because Safari Fred asked, okay? Yes, I added new commands for the channel. Are you talking about this campaign for villainry, or are you talking about in general? Type in exclamation mark Discord. You're in my Discord already, Broen. You're in there. I know that you're in there. I'm looking at you right now. I'm looking at you right now. It's a Legendary Tales. You're literally in my Discord already. So, okay. So, my favorite villain for this campaign you guys have not met yet. And you won't meet him for probably 10 sessions. And then there's another lady you haven't met yet. But my favorite villain that I have ever made for any campaign, his name is Vyram Thule. And if anyone in the stream, I don't know if you played Star Wars with me, but Vyram Thule is a Star Wars ancient Sith Lord who can drain people's lives and extend their life and extend his own lifetime with their energy. So literally any Star Wars campaign that I have, I bring him into because he's justified in the lore, because there are Sith Lords that have done that. And he is an incredible villain because he shows up at the exact wrong times because of everything. So his lightsaber, when he hits people, disorients them. And then he has two guys that run around with him with the sensors that put out smoke. And he literally, you have to make a fear check in order to fight him, in order to even fight him to begin with. It's super fun. Yeah, there's a lot. One old man in chat. I can't quite sit. The attention span fades. I get an hour or two in. What's the best way to catch up besides a quick summary? Currently, the community, some people in the community are working on retellings of every episode. I'm working on some of them myself. Working on getting some quick recaps for every episode in. I might make a YouTube video that recaps the 10 episode series over like a 15-minute period. If you guys want, I can do that. It's a little bit rough. Honestly, watching my own videos makes me cringe sometimes. I don't know why, but it just does. Other than the quick recap, not really. It's sort of, that's the thing about proper storytelling, is there's a lot. There's especially 2 episodes ago, last Friday. That was incredible. That was like one of the most insane episodes I've ever seen. Oh, nice, Jenkins. That's good. So, Safari Fred, that paper is a writ, a WRIT of debt that explains that Ricky has at least 20,000 gold of debt to that the gangster group. So that's what they were looking for initially. And they got it from that dwarf, the commander at that place that they killed. They got the commander's. It was in his satchel. And no, Jenkins, I'm not going to give you a grenade launcher or watermelons anytime soon. You have to wait for them to be in season, dude. Yeah, Mogramak nearly one-shot that dude. Jenkins, if you have a second, you should come. I'm in the Legendary Tales chat. If they want to ask you questions about your character. No, it's not. Of course, it's not grenade launcher season yet. Get out of here. Those are a specific time in which the cherry trees blossom, but only specifically after blue jays have gone to roost or something. I don't know. This most recent episode or the one before that? The most recent one before that is episode 21. And the one we played on Tuesday is episode 22.
Yeah, hello?
What up?
Is this thing on?
It is on. They can hear you.
Hello.
How much of Jenkins' character is Jenkins, and how much of it is ex-Alphacus? That's the first question that we got for you.
50%.
50% is you, and 50% is Alphacus?
Yeah. About that. Sometimes the ratio's off.
Sometimes?
Yeah, not today. I'm gonna start doing a voice.
Are you, though? Is that
I'm gonna sound like this. It's me, Alphacus.
Well, when you were a goblin, that would make sense, but...
I should have done.
When is the next one-shot? The next one-shot should be, hopefully, if I get partnered on Saturday. I'm going to be doing another stream on Saturday, and it should be fine. What's your favorite version of Alphacus?
Dwarficus.
Dwarficus for exactly 5 minutes? It was...
Yeah, it was great. It was the best time of my life.
It was, dude. I'm gonna argue that if Alphacus does end up dying, you have to make a dwarf character of some sort. Just for the accent. I just really want the voice back. Let's be real.
It's the only accent I can do.
Or we need to get you disguise self spell so you can disguise yourself as a dwarf.
Yeah?
And then do the accent.
I liked being Helficus, actually.
You liked Helficus a lot?
Yeah, I felt like an imp. Like, that's what I was trying to go for, is like being an imp.
No, that's true. I see it.
Like, goblin to imp makes a lot of sense, you know? Even air Ganassi kind of makes sense.
That's true. They're sort of like, I picture them as like half genie instead of half air elemental.
Yeah, that's how I was imagining it too. So they're kind of like, what, jovial, is that the word?
Yeah.
But elves, not really so much. Elf actually probably makes the least sense for the character.
That's actually true. Very true. Especially a high
Which is
elf.
really funny. Yeah, which is really really funny.
I just wanted you to go, oh, I see.
I can't do that one. That's
Why not?
a good one.
Why not?
I don't know, cause you do it. I can't steal any of your voices.
No, you can't because you're not me. Only I can steal my own voices.
I know.
Anyone have any other questions for Jenkins? I don't have too much longer before I gotta go, so. Any other questions for me or for Jenkins? Somebody wanted a Drowficus. I wanted you to be a dark elf.
Like an ugly drow or like a sexy drow?
I picture all drow as sexy. I don't think there could be an unsexy drow.
Really? Isn't like the point of drows that they're like really ugly and the
No, they're like they just have super dark skin and white hair, and they're elves, so they're normally pretty beautiful. Well, even egg being a drow, I'd consider him a beautiful character.
Because Drow Ranger, the character in Dota, her lore is that she was exiled because she was beautiful, but
Because she's
Drow-
Sylvanas. Yes, because she's Sylvanas.
No,
Yes, she's based on Sylvanas.
no, I know that. I'm just saying that's not the lore in Dota. They can't steal that. That's copyright infringement.
Sure. So, but the actual lore for Drow Ranger is that she was exiled for being too beautiful?
Yeah, that's her. That's
No,
her
it's
lore.
not. You're lying.
No, I swear, dude. That actually is it. It's fucking stupid. They made up a bunch of really dumb shit because they were scrambling because of the
Dude, they
lawsuit.
just need to get me to write stories for these people. I'll do it.
You know, honestly, yeah, you do a good job at that. I don't know where you come up with this shit.
Well,
It doesn't.
I played through this campaign with a bunch of family members and roommates and stuff at the time, and they enjoyed it. So.
Oh, this is already one. So
Well,
it's
sort of.
go.
It's not the same. It's actually not the same because I've extended the timeline significantly, and then you guys have introduced a lot more storylines than I ever could have. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you still have like a baseline structure to work.
Yeah. I have like a
I did
general idea, and then I just roll with whatever you guys want to do, pretty much.
I feel like that's how any good story goes, though, is that you kind of like told it a dozen times before, and then it finally gets good. You get like a better punchline. You know what I mean? Jokes and stuff work like that too.
Jenkins, how many times will I have to redraw your character before I'm able to finish this drawing?
Well, I can't die anymore, so unless I die and make a new character,
That's true.
should be good. But
Oh, and also another tip for new DMs: don't be out to kill your players' characters. Dying is not fun. Like, losing your character is not fun for anybody, unless you're actually out to do that. I did have a character that was absolutely trying to kill himself, but it basically made the GM like literally go out of his way to try to make sure I don't die. It was one of the funniest things ever. It's like, I have no healing potions, I don't wear armor, I'm a fighter, and I have a two-handed sword, and that's it.
kill my son.
That's pretty much what it was. That was good, man. I mean, dude, I gave Hannibal May, man, I gave Slacks Hannibal Maze, and that was absolutely insane. Like, I've never had anyone run with a character I've given them so hard.
Yeah, he killed it. He always does.
Always.
That guy works for Valve for a pretty good reason. They only hire the best, you know? Best of the best. The creme de la creme. Slacks is creamy. When's he coming back?
I don't know. I was hoping tomorrow, but we'll figure it out.
He's a busy man.
Yeah. We do need a Hannibal Maze emote. We need to get like a Hannibal Maze drawing and just have him yelling Hannibal Maze.
I swear to God, dude, the hardest I've laughed in like honestly, maybe like a couple of years is when he couldn't see his screen.
Oh, dude,
And and he was still going with it, and just like the sound of sheer like confusion.
He's like, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is what I've seen.
Yeah, like he sounds like exhausted from trying so hard to figure
Where
out.
did he post that? Did he post it in the legendary chat?
I think he posted that in the group chat.
Did he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
As I wanted to show people what he saw during that.
Guys, this is what I see.
This is what I see. So wow, I'm gonna have to go way back to see that.
God, I thought I saved it somewhere. I was laughing so fucking hard, man. Holy shit! I was actually holding back.
That was absolutely incredible. Like that.
There's a really funny clip on YouTube of Purge teaching Slacks how to play Dota.
Oh god.
And they just go through Slacks's hotkeys for the game, and he has them set up to like plus symbol, dash, which are all on like the right side of the keyboard. Obviously,
yeah.
nowhere near your left hand, and then dollar sign.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
And
So.
I've never seen Purge wince so hard in my life.
All right.
He was dying.
All right, guys, are you ready? I'm gonna show you what Slacks was seeing when he was like, "I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't see shit right now." I have to set up a window or window capture browser. Can I do a browser cap? No. Screw it. I'll just do a display. I'll just do a display capture. Add source. No. Hanabi Maze. Where is it? Let's do. Is it this one? I have 4 monitors, guys. So this is what Hanabi Maze was seeing when he was like, "I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I can't see anything." So during that episode, if you guys have watched it recently, this is actually what he was seeing when
There was so much confusing shit
Dude.
going on.
I was describing stuff to him, and he was just like, "I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know what you're talking about." Yeah, that is.
Dude, we were in a room with like a dwarven like god, like giant
Yeah.
dwarven statue guy, gargoyles, skeletons, like this beautiful mansion that's like haunted and just
It was so funny. That was so funny.
like the immersion was real. Like the scene was set up so well.
And then
And then he just like says, it's like Thunor and then my fucking Christmas elf.
oh. Yeah, it's the one where, oh my god, there's a lot that happened that episode, man. That's like the first part of the episode where everything happens. Because you died for the first time and became Helphicus. Remember?
Yeah.
In that same episode, you became Helphicus at the end. That was,
That was the
fucking
first-
hilarious.
First suicide.
No, the one where everything happens was on Friday. I should rename that one. Yeah, that's literally...
How many views do, let's see, the Legendary Tales YouTube? Do people watch D&D on YouTube? I feel like they would.
They do, man. It's good.
Oh, a lot of people watch the Feywild one. That was a good one.
It was so good, honestly. Like,
This one means kill.
this one is kill, and they just die.
Were you gonna kill them before I suggested it?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Good, good.
And you make it sound like those characters aren't coming back to haunt you as undead.
Well, I know one that's coming back.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine the undead bear, dude?
God, no.
That would be horrible.
I did kind of abandon them.
You did. You abandoned. Oh, you abandoned Skink's dad. You
But
abandoned
it's just-
Percy.
It's just
Rude.
fear, you know. It's just, it's not, nothing against them.
What episode was that? That
This one means kill.
this
Dude,
one
they-
means
They
kill.
were, they were so shocked.
I think
They're-
it's episode 15. Hold on, let me get it on. I'll mute it and then we'll.
I like that you're titling.
No.
That you're titling them. Now.
Yeah, I'm working on going back and and renaming them.
I was talking to my buddy who's like a big YouTuber, and he said he recommended to me that I go back and change thumbnails and titles if my videos aren't doing well. Like it actually does.
Interesting.
Does not matter. Like it can get promoted like, well after the fact. Dude, you're like halfway to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's actually
yeah,
like,
yeah. Did you see how many? Did you see how many views episode 1 has? It has 2,500 views, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy for a 2-hour long.
No, it's 3 hours, dude. That was just short of 3 hours for episode
My God,
episode 1.
It looks so ghetto.
It looks so bad. It's so hard to watch that episode too. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I saw something on Twitter today.
I want to find out what that Hannah Maze episode was. Was it 16? Because I'm gonna rename it right now. No, it wasn't.
Oh yeah, here. Look at this. This might interest you. I put this in the Legendary Tales chat.
Apparently, there's a question for you for Dota.
Dota question.
When do you think the 2 broken builds from the last video will be patched? Sooner or later?
Sooner or earlier?
Yeah.
Aren't those the same thing?
I don't know.
Both. No, they're not gonna get patched. They're too obscure. Not until people use it in a tournament. Never gets things never get patched from pubs unless it's
Or
fucking
competitive. They have to be competitive or something.
Yeah, they have to get played in competitive unless it's Pudge. Like they really like nerfing the most fun hero in the game.
He is super fun. I played him in POG the other day. He was super good.
He's very fun, and he was way more fun before. And he's the most iconic hero in the game, and they friggin' ruined it. I don't understand. He's very bad. He's probably the worst hero in the game.
I don't actually know what episode that was.
I can find.
With Hannah Maze. Is it episode 15? No.
14, I think.
It wasn't 14 because Slacks never shows up in 14. Like you can tell. Oh wait, he does. It was episode 14.
It's halfway through. Yeah,
Oh my god. So I need to rename this video.
Honestly, if like the ideal setup for this would be have somebody that's like clipping the like funny parts out of the YouTube videos and then posting it on like another channel or posting the clips, because the shorter videos will like get promoted more, and then that
True.
would bring more people to like the longer videos.
That's true.
If you look at like any podcast, they always have it like that, where they have a really long like full podcast, but then the things that get the most views are actually the clips. It's this like cyclical promotion thing. I mean, I know it's a pain in the ass and you already do a shitload of stuff, but ideally,
Yeah.
there would be a whole, you know.
Well, I do have all those videos on my computer, so I might just go through and clip all like, here's the crazy shit that happened during this episode, or do like a 5-episode recap of, here's the big stuff.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Oh, if any clips go viral from my channel, it's absolutely going to be Hannah Maze doing stuff, just existing. I think at this point.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Well, if anyone doesn't have any more questions about D&D or anything, I'm going to cut it there. Thanks for showing up, guys. I appreciate it. I'm going to probably post this to YouTube at some point, but I don't know yet. Yeah. Let me know, guys. And I'll talk to you later. Oh, yeah, tomorrow. Same time. 3 p.m. Eastern. All right. Later, guys.